Easy, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on, 16?
Chilling, man. Another episode of the Aftermath on the air, man. Another interesting interview with an interesting guest, man. So we're talking to Flat Earth Dave Weiss, man. He's a flat Earth, I guess you call it expert. So we're about to get all into this, man. I hope you're ready, man. Let's
What's
talk to
going on, guys?
How's it going,
Hey,
man?
what's
How you
going
doing?
on, man?
It's going all right.
All right. So it's good to have you on the show, man. Appreciate you making the time to come and talk to us, man.
Yeah, no problem. Let's get into it.
Let's do that, man. You know, you got
Let's
an
do
interesting
it.
story, man, and we got some some questions for you about this. So, Dave, this flat Earth thing. I mean, all our lives we've been taught that the Earth was a globe, and I'm guessing at one point you believed that the Earth was round. So how did this become an area of interest? And can you describe what you saw or who you talked to that changed your mind?
Yeah, so just like you guys, man, my whole life, we've been trained and taught the Earth is a globe, and I was doing a conspiracy podcast, and people started sending me flat Earth stuff. Dave, have you looked into the flat Earth? And I thought they were joking. I'm like, you can't be that stupid. And they kept sending more and more, and I wouldn't watch a 1 minute. I wouldn't click a single video. I'm not going to waste my time. I banned people from our social media for being so stupid to even suggest such a thing. But then another researcher forced me to look. Like, Dave, you have to look at this. And I said, okay, I'll just disprove it. That's it. I'm a pretty smart guy. And for 2 weeks, I started looking, and the more I looked, the more ridiculous the globe model got. And then I started doing experiments myself. I was like, I gotta video this myself. And I went out and I bought a $1,000 camera with a super zoom lens, and our optics have outgrown their lies. We can see too far. So that right there shows you that the Earth is not a globe. That's how it started. Here's the thing. Flat Earth is not a pancake floating in space like Bill Nye, the lion guy with the bow tie, wants you to think. You guys there? Did you freeze? Or did I freeze your minds?
I'm here.
All right, good,
I like
good,
the
good.
nickname for Bill Nye, too.
Bill Nye. And then we have Lying Box from England, and we have Neil deGrasse Tyson, the high priest of scientism. They want you to believe that we think the Earth is a disk in space with other round planets or even flat planets. Not true. Nobody thinks that. Okay? What the flat Earth is it's like a pond. Think of a pond. What is a pond? A pond is the low spot in the land where the water accumulates, and the edge of the pond is where? The edge of the pond is where the land is higher than the water, right? That's the edge. That's the edge. That's the container of the pond. Large bodies of water at rest need a container, and that container is the shoreline that surrounds the world pond. That's known as Antarctica. Antarctica is not a continent at the bottom of a ball. It's the shoreline of the world pond, period. All of the continents are surrounded by water, but all of the water is surrounded by land, right? So you can sail around anywhere you want. You can go away from the center, that's south, and you don't get to the edge of a pancake. You get to the edge of the pond. That's it. You can climb up onto Antarctica, which is the highest on Earth, by the way. Makes sense since we live in the Antarctic basin. And what's out here? It's off limits. No one's allowed to go out there ever till the year 2041.
So what's so significant about the year 2041?
It was 60 years from or 60 some odd years, the treaty went into effect in 1959. They had to pick a number. I don't know if there's a significance in that, but they're going to kick the can down the road another 60 years if we don't wake up and figure it out by then.
So just to make sure I get this, instead of Antarctica just being a large landmass, you're saying it is the landmass
and
that
we
is
are
surrounding.
In the basin. Correct. Just lift yourself up and look down. The Earth is it could be an endless plane. We don't know, right? What's beyond there? Well, no one's allowed to go beyond this pink line, which is 60 degrees south. Now, you can spend $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, go for a 3-day vacation to this little peninsula right here, which is gigantic, by the way. It's bigger than many countries. And there's penguins and icebergs. And they'll bring you out here and they'll show you a ceremonial South Pole, but you have no way to verify it because compasses don't work and GPS doesn't work out there. Okay. And then they kick you out. That's it. No one's allowed to go out here except like the elite go out there for some reason. John Kerry during the previous election went there on election day. Wonder what was going on down there or out there. Maybe it's all frozen. Admiral Byrd in the late 1950s flew out there and said, there's land bigger than the United States that no human has ever stepped foot on, filled with resources. There's maps of Antarctica without any ice on it, right? There's stories that maybe beyond Antarctica, there's more territory, extra terra. Terra is land, territory. Extra is more. So if somebody lived out there and they came to visit, what would you call them? An extra terra, extraterrestrial. And you know where they live? They live in the outer space beyond Antarctica. So they're telling us what's going on. Extraterrestrials come from the outer space beyond Antarctica. That's my belief. Do I have proof of that? Nope.
And you know, that was leading me into the next thing I was going to ask you, Dave, because that was a lot of information in that. What's like the level of resistance that you get from people who just write off what you're saying is just like talking conspiracy? But then on the flip side, how receptive do you find some people when you talk about it?
It all depends on the person. It depends on, you know, there's people that are so indoctrinated that their egos are too big, or they're secure, you know, they're too insecure to are willing to change their entire foundation of the world. You know, the foundation of a normal person's world is you're spinning out of control on a speck in a random, in an infinite universe where you're so insignificant it doesn't matter, and an asteroid could take you out. You're spinning out of control, lost in space, moving trillions of miles every decade, and you know, you're in a distant god or godless universe, when the truth is we're at the center of creation on solid ground. We're not going anywhere, and we're safe. There's no asteroids. There's no shortages of anything. There's no overpopulation. It's a complete and total lie, everything they tell us, and it's meant to keep us in fear and to give away our God-given free will.
You got a lot of information. It's like, you know, just
dude, it's not that much. It's just once you see it, you can't unsee it. You guys are, I can tell by the way you guys are listening right now, you're fucked. It's over. Your globe is gone. Okay. By the time we're done with this, I'm going to plant some seeds that if you resist looking into them any further, you're finished. You're going to be miserable until you look. And then when you look, you're going to be like, how did I ever believe that? Let's look at the globe model. Let's look how silly the heliocentric solar system is, right? I'm going to ask you guys some questions and we'll see if you know the answers. I'll tell you that I didn't know any of them when I was asked. How fast is the Earth spinning? This is in the heliocentric system. No idea?
No idea.
1,000 miles an hour at the equator. So when you're sitting on the ground watching the sunset, you have to believe that you're falling over backwards faster than the speed of sound. And that's making the sun appear to go down, right? So, you know, you got the sun in the sky, you're sitting on top of the ball, and for the sun to go down, you have to be falling over backwards to make it look like the sun is going down. That's insane. While that's going on, you're orbiting around the sun at 66,600 miles an hour. If that's not bad enough, you're chasing the sun at 500,000 miles an hour, more than 500,000 miles an hour. And that entire system's moving in a fourth direction at 1 or 2 million miles an hour. Does that make any sense to you?
So you're saying that that's not the case?
That's not the case. That's what they want us to believe. They want us to believe all of that's going on. Where are you guys located?
Atlanta.
Oh, so you know about the Georgia Guidestones, I would assume. In Georgia, you don't know about the Georgia Guidestones.
No.
So there's these Guidestones that were built. It's kind of like Stonehenge. But this was built in, I think, 1981. And it has literally the 10 commandments of the New World Order on it, which is a whole nother rabbit hole. But there's this hole. There's this hole in the middle stone, long, thin hole, about 1/4 of an inch, that if you look through it, you can see Polaris, our North Star. We're spinning, twirling, whirling in 4 different directions at once, traveling trillions of miles. These things have been up for over 4 decades, and that star has never moved from that hole. How is that possible?
Mhm.
Yeah, you're asking questions that I mean, I can tell you that we never considered that.
Well, here's the thing. And don't say, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a PhD. I don't have a degree. That's giving up your common sense for nonsense, right? The people that got the PhDs in astronomy are pseudoscience religious zealots. They have no proof of anything. They live on an equation that makes no sense whatsoever, right? Think about this. Here, everything I'm going to say, it's not nothing you ever thought about. You remember that we had that alignment last year on December where all the planets were in the sky at once? Were you aware of that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. And, you got your sun and it's holding on to the earth. So the earth is falling around the sun, right? Its gravity is holding on to it. But at the same time, the earth is holding on to the moon, which is falling around it, right? Right. How is it that when the moon gets in between the sun and the earth, that the sun's gravity doesn't just pull the moon away from the earth, or at least tug it a little bit, right? Don't you think that the sun's gravity would perturb it a little bit? Or when all of those other planets lined up, that one of their gravities would pull on something? The sun's holding on to all those planets. All of those planets are holding on to their own moons. All of this stuff is going on, and it's in a perfectly predictable, repeatable system, like a perfect timepiece. Did you know that all of the eclipses repeat every 18 years? They repeat.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I'm getting at. There's a thing science calls the 3-body problem. You could take the world's best supercomputer, and you could say, all right, I've got a sun, it's this big, it's got this much gravity, and I've got an Earth, another planet, and you put it into a simulation of orbit. You with me?
Yep.
And it'll predict where it's going to be for the next 100 years. Doesn't matter. It goes forever. It works perfectly. You add one more body, a moon or another planet, to that system in that supercomputer, and the entire thing turns into a random beehive and never repeats, and they can never figure out what's going to happen next. How do we have in our solar system alone like 60 or 80 different objects that repeat again and again and again, and they never change? It's because gravity, the entire solar system, all of that is the soul lure system. It's literally trying to steal your soul.
The soul lure system. His play on words. He got a lot of plays on words here from
the
Bill
helio
Nye
sinister trick, which is the soul lure system. We are here. So, and by the way, I'm not a religious person. I was probably the best described as a full-on atheist before I discovered the earth was flat and intelligently designed. The earth was created for us. That's as far as I'll take it. There's a creator. You can figure out the rest on your own, right? And maybe everyone's wrong or maybe everyone's right. Who the heck knows? But it was created, and we are here at the center of creation. We're not on a random speck flying through an infinite vacuum, which is impossible. Think about this. The heliocentric system, the story is, once upon a time, there was nothing, and it exploded. You should give up right there. And then all of the rocky matter turned into solid ball planets, and all of the gases coalesced into bigger burning balls and left a vacuum in between. How does gas survive in a vacuum without a container? Right? How did any of this happen? Right? And then lightning struck, created DNA that's kind of like a tornado going through a junkyard and building a 747, but less, more spectacular than that. And then that DNA turned into an amoeba, that turned into a fish, that turned into a monkey, that turned into a human. Okay? This is what they want you to believe. This is making you an insignificant accident in a godless or distant God universe, when the truth is we're at the center of creation and nobody has dominion over us.
Just to reiterate, we are talking to Dave Weiss, Flat Earth Dave, all right? So he's got his podcast, the Flat Earth Podcast, that's available on Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, YouTube. You can just go to the flatearthpodcast.com. You also have your app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock. That's available on both Google Play and the iPhone App Store. And you can reach Dave at info@theflatearthpodcast.com. Easy, do you have something for Flat Earth Dave?
So Dave, if you were, I guess my first question is, have you had dialogue or discussions with scientists? Scientists.
Yes, yes.
And what did that conversation look like? Was there any kind of give and take or anything that they were willing to listen to, or was it just like a whole condemned session?
So when you say scientists, there's really not that many scientists out there. You know, we got the puppets, Neil deGrasse, you know, Bill Nye and Lying Box. And those are the guys out there that are pushing the propaganda. Okay. They say the science is settled and we'll never talk to flat earthers. Well, science is never settled. Science is science. Science is, you know, we work with a theory until we find something better. And they will never talk to us. But they say they don't have time to talk to us. But they'll do video after video after video gaslighting us and strawmanning us. And none of that, you know, with all nonsense, you know. Neil says, you know, if the earth was flat, you know, an eclipse would look like this, you know, sometimes, right? That's no one believes that. No one believes that flat earthers don't believe that it's the earth that causes the lunar eclipse because it's been proven that it's not.
So a follow-up question from what you had mentioned earlier, you know, if Antarctica is this big landmass, why isn't there a sense of urgency to try to discover what's going on? Or if that has happened, why do you think hasn't it been publicized or talked about?
Yeah, so the elite, they know what's going on out there. They don't want us to know because they put us in a prison that we don't see the walls. We're on a ball. The ball's a prison. Okay? If they put a fence around us and said, hey, Antarctica's there, it's bigger than the rest of the world combined, but you're not allowed to go there, there would be a revolution. Okay? But as you're on a ball, Antarctica's really cold, and there's nothing to see there, you know, and there's nothing to see at the North Pole either, which is another lie. No one wants to go there, and no one realizes that we're in an invisible prison, and that prison's in our mind, and it's the globe. So the reason that they don't want us knowing is because once we know, we no longer will want to obey them. Because when we realize that we are powerful beings and they have no authority over us, they lose all control. Imagine if everyone united tomorrow, all the civilians in the world, we united and said, we're all brothers and sisters and we no longer pay attention to the elite. What could they do? Nothing. We could go open up our businesses. We could travel. We could do whatever we want, but everyone is living in fear. Everyone is controlled. You know, they're literally shutting down all small businesses and all of the big companies, the Costco's and the Amazons and the JetBlues. Those are all giant corporations run by the governments that will they'll be the only ones that survive. And then you have to do, you know, all of the crap that they want you to do to have a free life. It's slavery. We're literally going into what's called the Great Reset, and it happens every 100 years. Right now, you know, 2020, what's going on? Everyone's wearing masks. Everyone's getting the jab, and we'll see what happens. In 1920, there was the Spanish flu. Everyone was wearing masks. Everyone was getting the jab, and there was a massive, massive die-off, way bigger than what they told us. In 1820, there was cholera. In 1720, there was the plague. Every 100 years, they pull the same old crap.
So, you can go at 16.
What I wanted to actually switch gears with David. I wanted to ask him about it because I saw your app, the Flat Earth Sun Moon app, and I saw how highly rated it was on the iPhone App Store. Can you kind of like go into an overview of exactly what it is and what it does?
Sure. My favorite thing to do. Thanks for asking.
He came prepared.
All right. So this is the app. And the sky is a perfect clock. The hour hand, the sun is the hour hand. It goes around once a day. It just circles around the earth. Now, if you look, it's kind of not on the hour hand. Can you guys guess why? I give you a hint. It was last week. we're in daylight savings time, which I call fake time. They're telling us it's an hour later than it is. And it basically throws our body clock off because we are connected to the sun and the moon and the stars and the wandering stars, which they call planets. But they're telling us that, you know, it's an hour later than it is. It's to throw our body clock off. It's not to make the day longer. You know, daylight savings time to make the day longer is equivalent to saying, you know what, my quilt is too short, so I'm going to cut a foot off the bottom and I'm going to sew it to the top. And therefore my quilt will be longer. That's nonsense. All right. So it goes around once a day. And if I speed it up, you'll see that the sun will start gaining distance on the moon because it will lap the moon every 28 days. So the moon keeps track of the weeks and the months, and the sun keeps track of the hours and the days. So every 28 days, it'll lap it. You know, when it's opposed to it, we'll have a full moon. And this is how we see the sun and the moon. So the next thing is, I'll slow it down. And I've turned the stars on, and the stars are going almost the same speed as the sun, but slightly faster. So if you look right now, the sun is just exiting Pisces and moving into Aries, and it's not moving backwards. It's just that Aries is catching up to the sun, and it'll stay in Aries for about 30 revolutions, and then it'll go into Taurus. So that's how the sun is in each sign for about a month of the year. And that's how the signs work. So these aren't distant stars making these random patterns, you know, far, far away. They're all here within the Earth system, and they all have energetic properties, and we're all connected to it. So astrology is the real science. Astronomy is pseudoscience. So what the app does is, if you want to learn about flat Earth, if you say, hey, top 10 reasons the Earth is flat, you're going to get top 10 reasons the Earth is a globe. If you search flat Earth, you're going to end up at the Flat Earth Society, which is a government disinformation site. If you search for one of the best videos out there called Flat Earth 21 Questions, A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth 21 Questions by ODD TV, you type in the title and the name, it's not going to come up, right? It might come up 10 pages down, but it's going to come up with propaganda first, right? Because they're trying to feed you nonsense. So what I did with this app is every day there's a new featured video. If you click the video, up comes the video. And what I tell people is take the Flat Earth app challenge. Watch the video every day for 2 weeks. And then if you still think the Earth is a globe, you can send me one proof and I'll give you a Bitcoin. But before you do it, you have to click this button, which is the frequently asked questions. Up come every question that you guys are going to ask me today. What about eclipses? What about Coriolis effect? What about seasons? No. What about southern flights? What about satellites and GPS? If I click that one, satellites and GPS, up come a list of videos that YouTube will not serve you. And these are things that you can verify yourself, things that will explain what you're seeing, and then you'll be able to see. So it has that. It also has, if you hit the web button, comes up with tons of other stuff. Down here, debunking the debunkers. When you search, you know, flat Earth, you're going to get these these government shill, you know, teachers and professors and science men, these nonsense guys that just do gaslighting videos. But we take their videos and we systematically break them down and show you how they're deceiving you. We're not saying, hey, they're lying. Hey, it's fake. We're showing you how it's fake, how they're lying. If you're into the Bible, there's so many biblical, the Bible is a flat Earth book, whether you know it or not. If you guys know about mud floods, bottom right corner, amazing Tartaria. The continental railroads, the transcontinental railroads weren't built, they were excavated. There's so much content in here. You can basically cancel everything else and just follow the content in here. Playlists in different languages, other interesting links. It does a whole bunch of stuff. Here's how a compass works. North is in the center. South is every direction away from the center. And east and west are circles around the center, right? So if you went outside and pick a tree or a pole or something and say, all right, that's the North Pole. And you point towards the North Pole, and that's your north, right? So 90 degrees to that point forward, that's east. Try to walk east while pointing at that pole, and you'll realize that east is a circle around that pole, okay? Your north needle has to point there. So east and west are circles. That's how circumnavigation is done. The app, by the way, also has images like, hey, you believe we went to the moon in this? You think we went to the moon in this thing made out of paper mache, duct tape, tinfoil? This is supposedly a picture of the lander on the moon. Look, there's an astronaut over there. This thing, a fifth grader can make a better project than this. This is a homeless tweaker shelter. Right? Tons of information there. Great way to wake up friends and family. It shows you time lapses. This is time zones. So right now it's 10 a.m. in Eastern Australia. It just shows you where the time zones are, how the time zones work. The time turns with the sun. The sun is where it's noon, and the time zones go from there. Got it?
Got it.
Oh, one more thing. Seasons. This is my favorite. Seasons. So right now you see the sun. It's over that middle red line. That's the equator. Okay. It's 24,901 miles around. And 3 months from now, the sun will be over the Tropic of Cancer, which is that yellow line. And that's when the sun is closer to us. It's closer to us, so it's higher in the sky. And we have direct, closer, higher, longer days, warmer days. 6 months later, it moves out to the Tropic of Capricorn. And Australia is having their winter. Their summer, because the sun is closer to them, higher in the sky, but we're having our winter because the sun is farther away from us. We're all the way up in here. So the sun is farther away, lower in the sky because it's farther away. We have our winter while they have their summer. That's how seasons work. Seasons make zero sense on a globe. There's videos in the What About Seasons in the app. Watch those and you'll realize how impossible and how ridiculous the globe explanation is for it all. There you go.
Hey, we got a few more for you, and then we got a little game to lighten it up that we play with our guests here. I wanted to ask you, it's a lot of information. It's a lot of things being thrown out there.
Before you go, the last thing is the globe has a major advantage over flat Earth. You can just believe it. Right?
All right.
You can just believe it. People just believe it. You've never verified anything they've ever told you about the globe. You've never done it. Nobody does.
I said, it's what we've been taught when you start, when you're in school, it's what you're taught,
It's what we're told. It's what we know. Correct. Yeah. And none of it was ever verified.
So that was leading me to what are the biggest misconceptions that people have who don't believe that the Earth is flat in your view?
They think that the flat earthers think that the Earth is rising at 9.8 meters per second, which causes gravity. No flat earther thinks that. The Earth is completely stationary, does not move. Water lays flat. The thing that most people that think that flat Earth is stupid is they don't know why they think it's stupid. They think it's a pancake in space because that's what they were told. They think that the only way a boat can go over the horizon is if it was on a ball, right? They think that that Aristophanes figured it out 2,000 years ago with the sticks and shadows, but they've never realized what the flat Earth model is and how that works perfectly on a flat Earth. Right. So there's a lot of things, but most people just don't know. They just think it's stupid because they were taught before they could talk that the Earth was a ball.
All right. Easy, you got something else for Flat Earth Dave?
So where would Dave start to, I guess, rewrite the history books or rewrite the science books?
Yeah, so the books are written by the victors, right? The people that run this world run the books. But I was interviewing this woman, Ruth, 102 years old, in February of 2020. And I was interviewing her about the World's Fairs, which is another rabbit hole that'll blow your mind. And she had such a great memory when she was 5 years old. I asked her what they taught her in elementary school about the Earth. And she looked at me and said, they taught me the Earth was flat. And then we found out that in the 1930s, people in Croatia, all of the schools were teaching flat Earth. They were teaching flat Earth here, even later. There was up until the 1950s, they were teaching flat Earth in some places, but all of that was changed. Some churches tried to fight it by maintaining flat Earth, but they couldn't keep up, with the government schools and everything, and everybody just succumbed. And they had all the wars and the depression, and they basically stole our history from us. The hijacking happened less than 100 years ago. They put us in a prison for our minds. This is the most important topic of our time, because if we ever get our freedoms back, how long are we going to be able to hold on to it when we're the ones that don't know where the hell we are?
So and I don't want to get too in depth into the interview, because I want our people to go check it out, because I'm going to check out this interview as well. But I kind of heard the same thing, that the world market was like a wild time. Like what was like the
World's Fairs. The World's
Fairs. Sorry.
Yeah.
What was like the kind of like the craziest thing that came out of that for you?
So, but in the app, if you go to the web button and then hit the Tataria button, the mud floods button, there's tons of stuff on the World's Fairs there. But the buildings that they had at those World's Fairs were ornate, amazing stone buildings. One of them was so big you could fly an airplane in it, right? And it didn't have columns. Like, we couldn't build that crap today. So they supposedly built it for a World's Fair and then destroyed it. This was a takeover of a previous civilization. Christopher Columbus didn't discover America. Some of the big buildings, some of the major architecture was here, right? There were buildings that were for some reason, they have super high ceilings and super high doors and windows higher than a 6-foot tall man could see out of. Okay. Maybe, there is evidence of a larger, more advanced race here. So this was a hijacking of our world. There's so much evidence everywhere in every city. I live in Connecticut, and I found a church that is a mud flood church. There's windows 3 stories below the ground that are looking into the mud. Like, why are there windows underground? Right? Because there was a massive mud flood. I don't know what it was. I have theories on it. I did a talk on my YouTube channel, DITRH, called, and it's worth watching. It's called The Outward Flow of Civilizations. It's with me and Sophia Smallstorm, talking about how perhaps the Incas and the Mayas and these previous civilizations, their sun started oscillating farther out across the plane, so they followed their sun out, and then the inner north froze over again, the inner world, and then a new sun was born in the north. Some people might say that was their savior, the sun.
So I got 2 more for you, and then I'll swing it back to my brother. So what is your background? Has it always been in this realm, or did you do something like completely different?
I was I was working in the commercial solar power business. I started my own commercial solar power company, design, development, finance, and construction. And it was doing super well. I had everything I ever dreamed of and more. I was making tons and tons of money, and it was fantastic. And then all of a sudden, something told me, walk away from it all and spread this message, because there's no time left.
Wow. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of shocked by that. That, like, you're making all this money, have a successful business, and you literally just gave it all away.
Money was the number one goal of, I'm born in Fairfield County. It's like the Hollywood of the East Coast. And money is important. Everyone loves their things. You got looking at your wall, looks very nice, right? You got some stuff going on. So we all like our things, but money was the number one thing. But money isn't the number one thing. Money doesn't make you happy. Money makes it's easy. It's easier to be happy if you have some money, but money does not bring happiness. If you have a shitty life, doesn't matter how much money you have, you're still going to be a rich shithead, and it doesn't matter. So once you realize, we're having a conference on the 26th and 27th next week in South Carolina. It's going to be hundreds and hundreds of flat earthers there. We're all going to be unmasked. It's going to be the greatest thing. It's a music festival, essentially. And it's such an amazing time, and the fellowship from people that are awake and aware and not living in fear. Like, when people live in fear of all of the things that we discussed, from nuclear bombs to to asteroids, to running out of food, to global warming, to the Rona, you become more of a selfish, nihilistic person. And when you understand that none of that is real, life gets a lot lighter. And when you realize that you're not spinning out of control in 4 different directions at once in an infinite vacuum, that you're here on stationary ground, and that you are a powerful spiritual being, you take your power back. Just like the perfect analogy is Neo in the Matrix, right? He was depressed at the beginning because he was separated from his soul. His soul knew the truth, but his mind was trapped in the Matrix. And when he unplugged from the Matrix, he found out who he is, where he is, what he is, and the power of his mind by the end of the movie. And that's a perfect analogy of what's going on. They don't want us to know that we are way more powerful than them. We are the many. They are the nothing. Not even the few. They are the nothing. And they don't want us to know that. So, you know the movie An Ant's Life, right? With the bugs and the ants, and the bugs rule the ants. And then they don't realize, the ants just followed along. We're the ants. We're the peasants. We're believing nonsense. The only authority they have over us is in our minds.
So my last question for you, I don't know, I'm sure you're familiar with the Freemasons, but would you say that your theories and your thoughts align with the Freemasons in any way?
You know what? There's people on both sides of the camp about the Freemasons, where some people say they're all evil, some people say they're good. I don't know. That's one of those things that I kind of let everyone else have those discussions. There's Freemasons that know the truth, some of them at certain levels, and then there's other ones that are just trying to be good people. Some of them are evil. There's good and evil people everywhere. There's good people in the Vatican, not many, but there's some.
So, Dave, I had a question, but you kind of answered it already when you were mentioning about your podcast. So yeah. My last one, before we get into what we're doing here, is so with this whole movement of flat Earth, what do you want to see come out of this? What's the end game for you?
Yeah, so the end game is for people to wake up out of their slumber, right? We hit a turning point. I believe it happened in 2012 where the energy on this earth shifted and people are waking up. I mean, I've been trying to wake people up for decades, but now all of a sudden people are waking up left and right. I'm talking to you guys. You guys are listening carefully, right? 10 years ago, I don't know if you guys might have been able to hear this. I don't really know you guys. So it's unfair for me to say, but I know people that just starting to wake up, but now it's so fast. People are waking up so fast. When people wake up, they disconnect from the Matrix. They're literally Neo being unplugged from the Matrix, right? And the more we unplug, the weaker they get, right? They're sucking our energy, our fear. They're feeding off of our fear. But when you remove that fear, they no longer can suck that from you. They can no longer take anything from you, right? It goes so deep. It goes to every level, every method of control, from everything that money is and money isn't, and how they take money from us, to our freedoms. It's all in our heads. So the idea here is to wake people up to flat Earth. I've woken people up to other deceptions in the world, the New York event, Connecticut event, the Boston event, but they go right back to sleep. It's amazing. I just don't understand it. But when you wake somebody up to flat Earth, it's addictive. It affects you every day. It affects every person every day, everywhere. And so you don't let it go. And then once you see it, you literally change. I was a good person before, but I'm a better person now. And I really see the world for what it is. And it's an amazing, amazing place. And there's no reason to be in fear of anything, nothing whatsoever. I mean, the entire, medicine is all nonsense. It's all nonsense. I taught to laugh at Chinese medicine, old, ancient medicine. That's the real medicine. Food is the medicine, right? Your thoughts are medicine, right? Petroleum products are not medicine, right? So the whole idea here is to wake people up and unplug them from the Matrix. And I think that's part of what's going on here. They realize every 100 years they have to reset this place. Otherwise, the slaves will wake up and then they will lose reign.
So what was was there a significant event in 2012 that just kind of turned everything around.
I don't know what it was, but the Mayans, the calendars, they have these long count calendars and the end of a cycle. Everyone says the apocalypse, the 2012,
Right,
it's the end of the world. No, it was the apocalypse. The apocalypse is the lifting of the veil. So basically everyone was fast asleep. I believe we were in the dark ages, and somebody pulled the cover back and said, hey, time to get up. Well, guess what? It's been 10 years and people are waking up. 10 years is like, if you equated it, I'm trying to put a timeline on it. Like when your alarm goes, it's time for you to wake up in the morning, whatever, alarm goes click, you turn the alarm off, you lay in bed for 2 minutes. 10 years is that 2 minutes, right? People are now just waking up faster and faster. Things are happening faster and faster. People are putting their feet on the floor and standing up now. And things are happening. So I think that what's going on in this world, they're panicking. People are waking up faster than they want. And they're rushing some things right now. And I think they're making mistakes. So I think humanity has a fantastic chance for a turnaround from this repeating cycle that I mentioned before. I mentioned, every 100 years, they do the same thing again. So it's not a theory that they want to depopulate the world. That is their goal. They want to cut the world population by a massive amount. The Deagle report, which is a population website, says in 2019 2019 was the last well, it's updated since then. The population in the United States was 337 million, I think. And by 2025, they say it's going to be 99 million.
That much
327 down to 99. Canada, 65 million down to like 40 million. Or whatever, maybe that was Europe. Whatever, there's huge drops in all of the Western countries. I don't know.
So, Dave, a lot of info. I wanted to make sure that before we get into what else we're doing here, that if we missed anything, like I mentioned in your social media podcast, if we missed anything where people can find you, where can they find you? When does your podcast come out?
The best is the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. All my interviews, including this one, will be on there under the web button under interviews. The podcast, the website, the Instagram, all the Flat Earth Podcast, theflatearthpodcast.com. If you have a hard time finding the app, if you're unable to scan this QR code, just go to theflatearthpodcast.com and the link is right there. And my YouTube channel is the initials for Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, DITRH. Facebook page, the Flat Earth Podcast again. So check out those things and check out the app and research. Don't believe anything I say. I'm just a crazy guy on the internet that thinks the earth is flat. But, if you research it and look, you will know it's not a globe.
So like I was saying before, our show is usually, we're pretty lighthearted. We do a lot of, fun and goofy things here.
I'm all about it. I just did a 4-hour show where we just goof around and make fun of people for 4 hours.
Oh,
well,
wow.
we're about to try to get into other things, because you're not just, you're Flat Earth Dave, but there's more to you than just being Flat Earth Dave. So we got this little game here I'm gonna try to explain to you. It's called Don't At Me, where I'm gonna ask you a few questions, rapid fire, and you just give your answer, and I'll give you an example. So I'll be like, Dave, which do you prefer, Coke or Pepsi? So you would say, if you like Pepsi, you'd say Pepsi, and then you'd say don't at me, like you're talking to somebody online, like don't at me on that. That's my choice.
At me? Don't.
Yep.
Don't.
Yeah, like don't at me. So like, hey, I believe the Earth is flat. Don't at me on it. That's my stance. You can take your globe shit and go somewhere else.
You say at? Are you saying ask or at?
At. Like
at me.
Like if you
like
if you're tagging somebody online, don't at me.
Don't at me. Got it.
Yep.
All right, so I have to end with don't at me.
Yep.
All
right, so let's get into the first one here. And this is interesting that this will be the first one. So, Dave, when you're driving, do you use a GPS when you don't know where you're going, or do you use it all the time for traffic purposes?
I use it quite often. Don't at me on that.
All right, Easy. What about you, man? We out here in this terrible Atlanta traffic. So you use the GPS when you don't know where you're going, or all the time so you can avoid that nonsense on 285?
Yeah, I being in Atlanta, I use it all the time. So don't at me on that one.
Yeah, I'm with that too. It's all the time. It could be up the street. I need to make sure that I'm not about to run into any nonsense, because around these parts, 5 minutes late will make you 30 minutes late. All right, so Dave got the game down pat. He got it there. All right, so Dave, here's the next one. What do you prefer, coffee or tea?
Tea. Don't at me.
All right, hot tea or iced tea for you? Which one is it?
Hot tea. It's in this iced tea in the summer, but hot tea when I'm doing my interviews, because my throat, I lose my voice. Don't at me.
All right. Easy. What about you, man? You coffee or tea?
Yeah, I don't drink coffee, so definitely tea. Don't at me.
Okay. Yeah, for me, it's tea. It's got to be iced tea, though. I'm not really a hot tea person. I know Dave said he likes hot tea, but for me, it's got to be iced tea for sure, not coffee. All right.
I mean, hot tea is actually better, but you know, iced tea is just more readily available. So
it is, especially here in the South. It's way rarely available. All right, Dave. Here's the next one. What's the better feeling? Getting a haircut or wearing new clothes?
Getting a haircut. Don't at me.
All right. Easy. What about you, man? What's the better feeling? You wearing new clothes or getting a haircut?
I agree with Dave. He's getting a haircut. Don't at me.
Okay. I guess we're unanimous here, because it's definitely getting a haircut. Because if you got a fresh cut, it doesn't matter what you're wearing. You can make whatever you're wearing feel new when you got a fresh haircut. So
I wear shorts and a t-shirt most of the time.
All right. Here's the next one. When you get takeout food, Dave, so you know you get takeout, would you rather them call you by your name when your food is done, or by a number? So would you rather like, hey, Dave, your order's ready, or would you like, number 76? Which one do you prefer?
So whenever I'm in a situation like that, I tell them my name is Flat Earth. So they have to yell, Flat Earth, your dinner's ready.
Dave's selling all the time.
No, I just like hearing people yell Flat Earth in a crowd.
And they can't tell you they can't tell you that that's not your name. They have what your name is, like it's Flat Earth, and they can't say, come on, man, give me your real name. Come on.
Yeah.
Easy, what about you, man?
It doesn't really matter. Most people butcher my name, so I'd rather just get the number and go about my business. Don't have it.
For me, I mean, long as I'm getting my food, I really don't care what you call me. It could be hey you, long as it's it's my food. But I actually prefer the number. It just makes it easier to cut down on things, because just like you folks butcher my name all the time too. So if I'm number 76, then that works for me.
I take the number, but if they ask for a name, I tell them Flat Earth. That way they have to yell Flat Earth. Just for the laugh. Just if it only makes me laugh, that's all right. I'm all about making myself laugh.
Yeah, there you go.
No, it's okay to troll people sometimes. All right, Dave, we got the last one here for you.
Oh boy.
Is it pronounced coupon or coupon?
Coupon. Don't at me.
That's the correct answer. Easy. What about you, man? Coupon or coupon?
Coupon. I'm gonna just say it. So don't at me. I'm gonna just say it.
It is coupon. I don't know where people came up with coupon from. It's coupon. Don't y'all be out there saying coupon.
It's easier to say coupon. Coupon is a little more effort.
Yeah, I mean, put in the effort. It's like an extra, so just say it. There's no Q on this word. I'm looking at it written on my paper. There's no Q in it. Coupon. Coupon. But Dave, appreciate you keeping up with our nonsense plan. Don't at me with us here on the radio show, The Aftermath. We definitely appreciate that, man. Thanks for having fun with us in that. And just to reiterate one more time, because I want to get this out here for folks that are interested. So Dave has the Flat Earth podcast. Okay, so it's available wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, and they're on YouTube as well. Yep. Don't forget about his app, the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock. So that's available on both Google Play for you Android users, and also folks on the iPhone app. And then you can reach Dave. If you got a question or something, you can hit him up at info@theflatearthpodcast.com.
That's right. Dave, but check the app first if you're asking me a flat Earth question, because it's on the app. I can't answer all the.
the man says he literally has the encyclopedia.
Dave is telling you. He's literally telling you, don't at me. Like if you see it on there, don't hit me up.
Don't
my
hit me
email
up if
asking
it's
me.
on there because I already spend 3 hours a day just trying to respond or read emails. So that's a minimum.
So Dave, before we let you go, like, is there a well, I guess it's two questions for you. So is there like an elite or a celebrity that you think is actually like on your side, that's on, you
Oh,
know,
we
on your
we
side?
there's many celebrities on our side, but they've even spoken with us. We're not allowed to say their names because they're just trying to operate. But my original co-host on the Flat Earth podcast, he steps aside. His name was Curious Jay, we called him, and he stepped aside. And Matt Long came and took over. He stepped aside because he works in Hollywood on a major TV show, and he's not allowed to do. He got contracted, and he's not allowed to be elsewhere. So even though he's using a fake name, his voice is very distinctive. So I can't tell you who he is. That's not even it. A bigger guy has a show named after himself. I'll even say, okay, don't ask me, don't at me. All right,
Yeah.
full
He's
on
not saying.
flat Earth, but he doesn't want to come out publicly. That's the problem. There's so many closeted flat earthers. Amy Irving, flat earther, right? At the Oscars a couple of years ago, the big talk at the Oscars, they were all talking about flat Earth. We heard it from insiders. There's circles of people talking about flat Earth at the friggin' Oscars. Okay, it's huge. There's so many people out there. They don't want to talk about it. And Justin Bieber, I know you're probably listening. Tweet my app. It's about time. All right. 140 million people. That will wake up the world. One tweet of my app by Justin Bieber could tip the world to waking up the flat earth. So I know he's
And
a
then
flat
my
earther.
my other question for you was, you've been on a lot of like different shows. Your face has been on a lot of different things. Have you kind of had like a celebrity moment where you've might have been getting lunch or eating somewhere and somebody comes up to you and like just starts
It's
just,
happening.
oh my God.
It's happening more and more. And the thing is, guys, I'm no different than you. All right. I just have some bigger numbers. It doesn't matter. I'm just a fucking guy that's able to follow my passion. I'm the luckiest guy in the world right now. I'm selling this app. You know why I'm selling this app? Not to make money, because this app is the best tool. This is the best tool for waking up to the most incredible topic ever. And this is my app. I made it. I'm working on it every friggin' day for the last 2 years. I don't sleep because my guy's in India, right? And if you look at the time zones, there's no, he's coming to work right now. Okay. So if I
Right.
got to work with him tonight, I'm supposed to actually, but I'm going to sleep. I haven't slept in days. So, the flat earth awakening, when you really align with your soul's journey, things just work out. Things just happen. I mean, this is amazing world. 2020 was one of the best years of my life. Right? That's crazy. Look what's going on in this world. But
yeah, you're not gonna hear too many people saying that.
Yeah, but
right now.
No, I'm with you. But this is the journey. We're all on this journey. Like here's a question. I'm not saying that we're in a simulation, but if you bought a shoot 'em up video game and you went in the game and nobody ever shot at you, would you play it again?
Probably not.
You're saying that?
Yeah. So we chose to be here in this crazy time because we love roller coasters. We love puzzles. Okay. We're here in this world, and our minds have the ability to create the world that we want, right? But everyone has been hijacked. Their minds have been hijacked with the news. The news is steering us. You think about the initials for news: north, east, west, south. They're steering our minds with the news. It's nonsense. Don't ever watch the news. It's poison for your mind. Okay? There's nothing on the news that is any use to anybody. It's just it's used to the elite because it puts you in a state of fear and it makes you believe nonsense, and they can control you with it. Don't ever turn on the news.
I thought news stand for news, entertainment, weather, and sports.
Yeah, well, you know what? Sports is another controlling the masses. I get it. But luckily for me, I was a Jets fan, and they've ruined all sports for me. So
Yes, they have.
Yes,
they have.
Dang, we sorry. You know, that's got to be difficult.
Just end the season, Jets.
He called them just in the season. Dave, man, we appreciate the time, the information. You know, it was a lot of things that were, you know, put out there. You've done a lot of like work. You've been, like my brother was saying, you've been on a lot of different shows. Even when we were talking before you were coming on here, when you were saying, look, like you mentioned before, you was like, look, I got to try to squeeze this in here because, like, you know, I do all these shows. I got to try to find some time to sleep and get myself together and stuff. So, man, like I said, you got a lot of things going on, a lot of interesting, noteworthy things that you're, you know, have your hands in. So, you know, we appreciate you, you know, taking the time to come and talk to us today.
Thanks, man. You guys were great. Awesome.
Well, you know, you're interesting. And I mean, came prepared. I mentioned the app, bam, he's got a display back there.
There's only less than a dozen questions. All right. I really only need like a dozen images because it's the same thing. Everyone's asking the same thing. Now there's some advanced questions you get into, but you know, it's so fun. I mean, it's just fun. I love this. So, you know, I couldn't be happier. Maybe I could be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to work on that.
Yeah, you never know.
Try to work on
You never know.
But again, you know, that is Flat Earth Dave Weiss, our special guest today. We definitely appreciate the time, and I'm sure we'll probably be talking again down the road.
Yeah, no problem, man. Reach out anytime.
Yeah, so that was Dave Weiss, Flat Earth Dave. Easy, man. Another aftermath in the books. I don't even think we've ever had an aftermath interview like this before, man. How you feeling?
Man, I just want to get him back on so we can just talk more, you know, about this. You know, I'm a big believer in doing your own research on some things. So I'm very intrigued. I'm about to go do some reading, some research, see what's popping.
That's the thing I appreciated about him, because anybody who knows me know I can be cynical, but the fact that he's not pushing. He was like, look, I'm just a dude on the internet, man. Do your own research. I'm just telling you how I feel about it. But he wasn't pushing out like, you got to believe me. You got to believe me. He's like, look, figure out how you ever want to do it for yourself. I know where I stand with it. And I appreciate folks like that who don't try to, you know, push everything on you like you got to just take it right then.
Yeah, he's like a stock guy. Like if anybody watches like financial people on YouTube that talk about different stocks, you know, one guy I think of is his name's Cam, and he sits there and he's like, hey, look, I'm buying this stock because of XYZ, but you need to go do your own research on it before you buy it. I'm just letting you know what I'm doing. I'm giving you the play. You can run it if you want, or you can, you know, do whatever. So
that's how it works.
I felt like that was his approach.
Before we put a bow on things here, that for the people who will be listening to or watching this for the first time, you probably wouldn't know this from the conversation that we had, that we're actually a hip hop show where we, you know, we're like a hip hop variety show where, you know, we discuss music, we review movies, food, we play underground hip hop. But we have this spinoff, which we just did the interview with Dave. It's called The Aftermath, where we interview a guest, whether they're a singer or author, or in this case, Dave, where he's, I guess you say a flat earth expert, or, you know, an expert in his field. We would interview them. So if you're somebody who has a talent, or you're into something that you know that people need to hear, you feel that people need to hear, you want to be a guest on the radio show, you can email us, the radio show inbox at gmail.com. I'm going to stick that in the post-production here. And then also, you can just DM us. You can find us on Instagram at itstheradioshow, or search us on Facebook, The Radio Show. And, you know, if you're interested in being on, or you're a musician or something, and you do music, you're looking for some airplay, we have a music break every week. Hit us up, man. We got, you know, 4 other hosts besides us. We have, you know, a good time, and, you know, we're here to try to put stuff out there that's entertaining and also informative at the same time. So, yeah, Easy, you got anything else before we get up out of here?
No, that's it. Appreciate you guys watching.
Yes. So check us out. blogtalkradio.com/It's the Radio Show. All the information will be in the description. We appreciate you, and we're gonna wave to the camera. Catch y'all later.